Hey everyone, it's Orange. Welcome to Path to Decency, episode 51. We have some big summons to do today. TOAH and TOAH Hard just reset, so we have 2 Scrolls of Light and Darkness from there, as well as 2 Legendary Scrolls. I also got another Legendary Scroll from the World Boss this week. If we continue to scroll down, we have Elemental Scrolls, 1 each from the Valentine event, and I think I got 1 extra fire and 1 extra wind from the Valentine event as well, when you spin the wheel, spin the rectangle thing around or whatever. I don't know where those came from, but I have 1 extra of those. And 27 Mysticals. We will have to see how this goes. You guys might have to start saying your prayers for me. If I just keep my standards low, I won't be disappointed. I'm gonna call it right now, 3 Water Jokers from these 3 Legendary Scrolls, all of which I cannot use because I don't even have a 3rd Lushen to skill up. So yeah, we'll have to see how all of this goes at the end, but first, let's get into the episode. The last time I saw you guys, I think was 2.5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that. Basically, I don't know why it's been so long since the last episode. I think stuff wasn't happening, and then stuff happened, and maybe I was busy doing other videos or something, but whatever, we have an episode today. So let's start off 2.5 or 3 weeks ago, and we will go in chronological order. The first thing that happened was free rune removal. Overall, it was pretty much a disaster, but from that disaster, I learned a lot, and now I have a new system that I'm implementing. From here on, I might tweak it to make it better, to organize my monsters and be better prepared for free rune removal. Before we talk about the system, let's talk about what was so disastrous about free rune removal. The first thing, I spent about half the day testing out YOLO DB10 teams with monsters like TOAH, Chilling. I have Verd and Galleon, as you guys know. Galleon's right there, here's Verd, so I knew, I had been hearing, if you have those 2 monsters, you pretty much just run Verd, Galleon, Tark, TOAH, Chilling, and it has pretty low rune requirements because of the monsters' kits, so I tried those teams out, and for some reason they weren't working. I don't exactly know what the case was, but I spent half the day testing that. I tried out Sig, Theo, I don't know what else I tried, but it was disastrous. So I decided to give up. I was like, I'm just gonna run my same team, Verd, Vero, Bella, Sig, Theo. I'll just stick with 2-minute and 30-second times, and we'll wait till next month. And then I was like, okay, it's still free rune removal, there's still time. How about I just rerune my monsters how I usually do? I usually have like a list in my head of monsters that I want to perform the best, and then everything else kind of follows. So I started runing things. I put runes on my Lushens, then Theo, then Lagmaron, and for some reason, I couldn't quite figure it out. I think at this point I have so many monsters, it's hard for me to rune everything up, and my runes were getting kind of stretched thin, and there was one other thing, but there's doors slamming and I'm losing my train of thought. I didn't have things written out really, so I just went ahead and tried ruining things, and everything was crazy and chaotic. So I spent the next 2 weeks trying to fix things, and I felt like I got things in a decent place. So I recorded the February rune video for you guys, explained why I ruined things the way I did, but since then I actually re-ruined things a 3rd time. Free rune removal was the first time, then a 2nd time, then a 3rd time. You guys can tell my mana is pretty much the lowest it's ever been in a while. But I think I have things kind of sorted out. I think things are working out well. In this episode, I'm going to show you guys my first YOLO DB10 team with a 96% success rate, 1 minute and 20 seconds average runtime, and my 2 R5 teams. I think only a couple days ago I didn't even have an R5 team that was ruined up, so I ruined that up. I think I got everything organized, and on free rune removal coming up here in 2 weeks, I have even more work to do to continue to fix things, and I got my little system going, so I'm not exactly sure if for every free rune removal I'm going to do like a complete overhaul. I might try to like cut back and only do complete overhauls every other month or something like that. Not quite sure. I'll figure it out later. So let's go over the new system. I will have it on the screen for you guys. What I basically did was I wrote out a list. Where's my list? Right here. My system, I wrote out 2 lists. The first part, I wrote out all of my dungeon teams. I also wrote out my AO teams. I only have 1 at the moment. My 2 ADs, I wrote out my Guild War offense teams, my Guild War defense teams, then Giants B10, Dragons B10, Necro B10, R5, and TOA hard. I actually didn't write TOA because at this point in time, I'm using like a full YOLO team, Lushen's, Lagmaron, Theomar's, Galleon for TOA normal. And then for TOA hard, I do have to have more monsters built, safer monsters. I am trying to be more efficient with my monsters. I think that's an important thing for me right now, is to try to build monsters that I can use in multiple places. When you guys check out my Dragons B10 team, a lot of those monsters on that team I'm using elsewhere, so that just makes it so much more worth it to put really good runes on these monsters. Theomar's, for example, he carries me really hard in Guild Wars, and now he's carrying me in Dragons B10, so it's so worth it to give him really good runes, and it's really paying off. Okay, so I wrote out all my teams. Then the second part, part 2, is where I wrote out a tier list. I think it helps me to actually have it on paper, have it out here, and what I did was I started circling monsters after I ruined them, so I could know all these are done, let's look for the monsters that are not circled, because those are problem areas. So my tier list, I only have 3 tiers actually. My S tier are monsters that I absolutely need to be performing for me. Monsters like my Arena offense, my Arena defense, Guild Wars monsters, and that's pretty much all of them on the S tier list. S tier, I have a few multi-purpose monsters. A tier is more sort of like specific monsters for specific things, but they do double over in some places. And then B tier was like anything else that I kind of forgot of, but for the most part, S tier and A tier pretty much covered all the monsters that I use. So I will show you the lists of all of those, and then I just started circling once I finished ruining them, and I kind of found that these monsters didn't really overlap on runes too much, which was really nice. Like Freya, for example, she's my only despair attack monster at the moment. I would like to put my first Lushen on despair, but I can't really do that right now. So everything actually worked out really well. And it was super helpful just to have everything out on paper so I could like visualize it. So, 2 parts, write down your teams, and then come up with your tier list, rune them, circle them, done. And I also wrote some notes to myself that I need to rune up some more things. As I said, on free rune removal in 2 weeks, I still have a lot more work to do. I need to fix certain monsters, Ratesh, Tyron, Shimate, and then from here on, I'm going to have to figure out for sure, how am I going to do free rune removal? Am I going to do a complete rune overhaul like this list? Am I going to go back and redo all of my builds for everything, every free rune removal? Or is it just that point in time where I need to stop doing that and work on ruining like my lower tier monsters? I don't know. I don't feel like I'm getting, well, maybe I am. I don't know. I think it kind of depends how many upgrades I'm getting per month, but it's hard for me to tell how many upgrades I'm getting. So, but for this free rune removal, I'm pretty sure I'm only really going to work on like the other monsters towards the end. I don't know though. So that was the whole rant about free rune removal and how I'm going to be more efficient with my monsters and my new system thing. Next on the list, let's go over how Guild Wars has done. I do have to cover 3 weeks of Guild Wars. We finished Guardian 1 all 3 weeks. We have been stinking up the place. We've been doing terrible, but it's okay. It's okay. I mean, it's like kind of bad, but yeah. Also, I wanted to update you guys on my Guild Wars teams because I haven't done that in a while, and I do have some new teams. We just haven't really gotten any good wars, I feel. Whoa, that person has a butt as their icon. I don't know if I can put that on YouTube. Someone's gonna flag this video now. I'm gonna have to block that out so this video doesn't get flagged. Okay, so, yeah, I feel like we haven't gotten any really good Guild Wars where I can showcase, like, strategy and stuff. You know, I don't know. I just feel like Guild Wars have kind of been meh. So I wanted to show you guys my teams right now to recap you. Copper, Bulldozer, Amesity. Really good team. You have to use it against some specific things. I can actually use it against that second team. And then also my Galleon type team. I usually use Lagmaron with him. Again, I've talked about this before. It's a bit of a risk if the other team has will runes, because Lagmaron, generally I use him to use his third skill first so he can stun things and get the attack buff. Sometimes I'll use Theomars instead of Lagmaron for that team. I use bruiser teams. Generally every fight I do, I'll use a bruiser team. I mean, not every fight, but I use a lot of bruiser teams. Here's one example. Vero, Theo, Ritesh. Sometimes I will use Velajul here because a lot of monsters have a lot of debuffs they can put on you. I could actually probably use this one against the first team. Unless Bernard defense breaks Ritesh, then, you know, if Bernard doesn't speed buff, then we could be in for a bad time. So that's one team, and then sometimes I will also use this team if the other team, just in certain situations. Also, I use my Ramagos team quite a bit. Not actually quite a bit. I stopped using it recently, but I gave my Ramagos' runes over to my Rina, but right now what I'm doing is putting the runes on Ramagos for the week, and then for Rush Hour I'll put them back on Rina, because I think Ramagos is a really good monster to have in Guild Wars, especially because I have Velajul. Velajul I think is like the strongest monster you can use with a Ramagos team. So I have that team, and then the last team that I use is, generally I don't use this one, but I will use things like, Julie's a really good option for the first monster. This is also a really common team that a lot of people have. So when you're building your defenses, people suggest to make sure that you're defending against copper teams, make sure you're defending against Megan, Lushen, whatever teams, you know, like another damage dealer. Sometimes I'll use Theo right there, and then in rare situations, I will use Lagmaron. I think you could also use like Copper and Bulldozer, but my Copper and Bulldozer are really slow, so I would have to make sure that I'm confident and that I understand how the enemy's turn order is going to go. So those are my teams. Right now, my defenses are the same. I'll show you guys those. I'm using Galleon, Theomars, Bernard, and Veramos, Ritesh, Velajul. I haven't really crafted them or thought about crafting Guild Wars specific defenses. Let me think here. Yeah, like I said, there was a really good Reddit post, I will link it down below, talking about how you need to defend against these common farmable teams like Copper and Bulldozer that a lot of people have, but I just use my monsters that I know have pretty good runes on them, and then I try to come up with a team, with two teams that kind of make sense for defense. So that's that. We have some interesting guild shop discussion to go over a little bit later on in the list. So Guardian 1, 3 weeks in a row, kind of sucks. Next, I've also been stinking it up in Arena 2. I have to update you guys on the past 3 weeks. I have finished Conquer 3 for the past 3 weeks. Okay, so 4 weeks ago, I got Guardian 1 for the first time ever. As you guys know, I wasn't too happy with how my offenses went. I believe my victory rate when I got Guardian 1 was like 87% or something like that, and I feel like it needs to be higher. I feel like it needs to be in the 90s, just because I'm not stopping at Guardian 1, I want to go higher, and having a low, I mean, it's not a low win rate, but having like that bad of a win rate during Rush Hour in Guardian 1, in High Conquer 3, probably isn't a good sign. So I've been trying to fix that ever since I got Guardian 1, and I've been testing new things out every week. So for the first week after Guardian 1, I tested out Julie. I felt like, let me do this thing real quick. I felt like my main problem when I got Guardian 1, I felt like most of my losses came because Nemesis monsters were cutting in between my Lushens and then healing to full, and then I just couldn't win after that point because they had too much sustain. So I tested out Julie because I had been hearing really, really good things about her, about how she pretty much counters double nemesis, because I don't know if it's technically counters, but she deals with it really well. So what she does is, each one of her cards doesn't hit enough to actually proc nemesis. I think for nemesis you have to hit 7% of the enemy's HP. I have nemesis runes over here. Yeah, so I guess 7% or more. So if she hits 7% or more with each of her cards, she'll trigger it, but she generally doesn't because you're not going to have a defense breaker. People generally suggest that you run a team like this one, but with another Lushen right there. Wait, no, not that one. This one. No, with Bernard right there. Yeah, so something like this. That way, Julie can soften up a nemesis monster just enough for Lushen to kill it. I believe I was using Julie a little bit incorrectly. I think I was bringing her... I got mixed results with her. So, two things were happening. First case, she was actually triggering nemesis monsters, which was very strange because she's only hitting like 2.4 thousand damage, 2.4k per card. I think she is supposed to be doing slightly less, and then on the other hand, sometimes she wouldn't soften monsters up enough, so she wasn't hitting enough, basically. I think I was misusing her. I think I was bringing her against teams that were too tanky, that she's not good at dealing with. That's like a general theme that I've been having. I think that I'm just identifying fights, like picking incorrect fights, basically. Fights that I have a high chance of losing, so I'm trying to fix that. So that was the first week, tested out Julie, didn't really go that well. Second week, I decided to get rid of Julie and use my Lushens how they were, but avoid all nemesis monsters. At that point in time, my Lushens were hitting pretty hard, so I could pretty much guarantee if I fought a nemesis monster, they would cut in between my Lushens because my Lushens were hitting so hard. The first one would hit that monster hard enough to give it enough attack bar to cut in between. So that week, I don't remember how it went. I recorded rush hour videos in case I decided to do a commentary, and I think I was tracking my success rates. I don't know where they are, but they weren't where I wanted them to be. I've been wanting them to be in the 90th percent, 90% success rate, 95, mainly 95 to 100, so I didn't really remember them. I have a lot of tallies around here. So second week, I think it went better than the Julie week because I went back to only my Lushens so I could really understand what was going on with them and their current state, how fast they were and how much damage they were doing. So this is where we get to the third week. This is where we get to last weekend, which I'm getting closer to a solution, I think. And right now, my success rate this week, I changed them, and how they are right now is probably how I'm going to use them this rush hour. And I have confidence in it, so let's talk about that third week. What I did was, I actually sped my Lushens up, and I nerfed the first one's damage significantly. I really need to look around and do more research, but I think generally, all Guardian 3 players use speed Lushens that don't do a ton of damage. They don't do crazy damage, they're not doing 10k, both of them aren't doing 10k. I think they just don't do that, but I need to look around more. I did look a while ago, months ago, 6 months ago or something, I was looking at Guardian 3 players, and their Lushens were very fast, plus 120 speed, plus 130 speed. I think I know the damage formula now. I was talking with some of my viewers about it, and some of my guild members, and one other guy who's my friend about the damage formula, so I might try to kind of reverse calculate how much damage these people's Lushens are doing to really figure it out. So I think the proper thing for me to do is to progress, continue to progress into those speed Lushens. Let me show you my Lushens right now. The third week, though, for the first 30 minutes of Rush Hour, I was testing out Purian. He didn't work out that well. There are some pros to him and some cons to using him, and I just felt like the cons outweighed the pros for me right now, and with my current runes, so I put him in storage. I did level him to 5-star max level to use him for Rush. First 30 minutes didn't go that well, but I kind of got an understanding that I just can't use him right now. and that Bernard would be better. So I put him in storage, and then I put his runes back on Bernard, did rush, and I think I'm getting a hang of how my Lushens are right now. Like I said, I did significantly nerf not both of their damages. The first one's damage, but together they really aren't doing that much damage, so I have to get comfortable with that and understand what they can beat. So I'm hoping right now, because I am looking to imitate all Guardian 3 players' Lushens pretty much. Like, for the most part, from what I've seen, they use speed Lushens that don't do that much damage. So I'm trying to get mine there. Hopefully that's the right call right now. But again, we'll have to see how this weekend goes. So this is the Lushen that moves second. He hits, I believe it's like 9.1k per card, I think. And 88% crit rate, that's higher than it's ever been before. I felt like that was a good thing because sometimes my Lushens were being kind of weird when they only had 80% crit rate. He's faster than he's ever been before. It's not as fast as I'd like him, but it's what I had to go with. And I think they're at that perfect range where the first one hits a certain amount and they will still outspeed Nemesis monsters when the first one hits. I've hit quite a few Nemesis monsters this week, and I don't think a single one has cut in unless they had a speed leader. So I'm probably going to have to avoid speed leader with a speed leader and a Nemesis monster. Again, like I said earlier, I think I've just been picking fights that I shouldn't. I've been picking risky fights that even have a slight risk. I should be avoiding those, and I just need to be smarter about it. So let's take a look at his runes. We have attack, crit damage, attack. Also a will set. I was super excited about that. So Veromoses won't be stomping on me. Water Fairy Kings won't be resetting this Lushen. And also later on the list, we did have a Joker Hall of Heroes. So both of my Lushens are fully skilled now, which I'm pretty happy about. And I'll talk about that later because there's kind of more to it. So that's the Lushen that moves second and he hits harder. Here's the Lushen that moves first. There's one change that I could make to him sometime in the future. I could put him on Despair because he has chances to stun things, you know? But right now I couldn't do that. So what I did was I made him do a certain amount of damage. He could do a lot more, and still have this same speed. But I had to really crank him down and make him do small damage. So I gave him 100% crit rate, because that was possible since I'm not giving him very good runes because I don't want him doing that much damage. I'm able to get that crit rate up because he's doing smaller damage. And also I looked for builds for both of them that had good HP. Right now they both have really good HP. I thought that would help me too. And what else on him? Pretty much that was it, I think, with him. So for him we have speed, crit damage, attack. So that's that one. And then Bernard and Megan are the exact same. Bernard's just as fast as possible. There were like a couple builds where he would be the speed that he is right now. There were like 4 builds or something, and I just picked the one with the highest effective HP, and also that build had a very good accuracy too, so that was also nice. You know, there are some Rinas out there that you gotta get that debuff on. Purion does not have the defense break, so that was one bonus to Bernard that Purion doesn't have. But there's like a lot to it, you know, there's a huge pros and cons list to using Bernard versus Purion, but Bernard is just what I have to do right now. I can't do Purion. And then here's Megan. She's the same. Wait, actually I changed her kind of recently to make her faster in case I wanted to use Megan by herself and no Bernard. So things like Megan, Double Lushen, Julie, stuff like that. So here she is, Swift Will, as always, that's what she's always been. For Leos, gotta have that Will set. So for this weekend, that is probably one of the only offenses I'm going to use, just this one. I will probably also use my Shimate and Tyron team. I do need to look at ruining those up before this weekend, because if Tyron and Shimate, Tyron needs to be faster so that he's speed-tuned with Bernard and Megan. He might be speed-tuned with them, actually. If he already is, I probably don't need to fix him. I'll have to check that out, though. And then Shimate, I want him to be doing a little bit of damage to at least soften some things up. He's been working out okay with that right there, you know, just purely as a speed leader. But I should probably look at, you know, fixing him so I give myself the highest chance of winning. So yeah, just pretty much those 3 defenses. Offenses. Don't think I'm gonna use Julie. And yeah, so I haven't done a rush video because I haven't felt like I gained a good understanding of stuff yet. And maybe if I gain a better understanding of all this stuff, I'll do a rush video, especially if I get Guardian 1 again. I don't know if I talked about this earlier, but I think I did when I was explaining my tier lists. I want to get Guardian 1 a few more times just for the achievement of it, and then I'll probably go back to the drawing board and figure out what is the next step for me. I do think if I do no refills, I would get Conqueror 2 every single week. I did get Conqueror 1 recently when I didn't do a refill. I took 1 week off and got Conqueror 1. That was quite alarming, but it did happen. But I think if I, really stay on top of it, I would get Conqueror 2 every single week. And to get Guardian 1, it's worth it if you do 3 refills, because overall you net yourself 10 crystals. But right now I want to do it just for the achievement. Oh, I already said this. And then, so I might see if I can do it with 3 refills in the future after I get it a couple more times. Or I might see, can I get Conqueror 3 with no refills? I don't think so. I really need to go back, I think, and look at my monsters and see what I can do about my midweek defense. Because, my midweek defense or a better rush defense, I do like using my double fire mummies, Rina and Freya, for Guardian 1. But for Conqueror 3 or whatever, I don't know if that would exactly work out. My mummies, oh, I forgot to talk about this. So for Arena, for the past 3 weeks, or 4 weeks actually, 3 out of those 4 weeks, my mummies did very well, and they held up super nicely. They only got hit 5 to 7 times during the last 30 minutes of rush or so. 1 week they got hit a lot, and I do think that was because I was lower ranked than usual. I was mid Conqueror 3 or something. I don't exactly know what happened that week, but I will keep watching them to see. So, like I was just talking about, if I conclude that the next step is for me to get Conqueror 3 with no refills instead of Guardian 1, if Guardian 1 with 3 refills is too unreasonable or something, then maybe the next step is for me to get Conqueror 3 with no refills. Maybe not. I think it's just those 2 decisions that I have to choose from. Well, regardless, I think I need to look at making a better midweek defense, because every single damn day I get hit back down to Conqueror 2, rank 2000, and I check my friends list and my guild members. I know a few people, maybe more than a few people, who are higher ranked midweek than they are after rush hour, and it's the opposite for me. I usually rank higher after rush hour than I do midweek. So I need to see what I can do about that. Maybe I'll have to check out my monsters and see what I can do. Maybe I'll have to break into my monster box. Maybe we'll get something today that will help me out. I don't know. But that's something on my mind that in the near future, I'll probably have to look at. Okay, so I think that pretty much covered the whole rush hour stuff. And actually, I'll show you guys some battles with my Lushens right now and how I'm using them. So, do I want to fight this one? I think I can fight this one. This one might actually be slightly risky though, because, actually, maybe not. Depending on if there's a shield set. For the most part, for this defense right here, what I'm looking at, my Lushen should be able to wipe out that Bernard and Seara, no matter what. And he wiped out the Veramos too, so this guy's runes probably aren't that good, because Veramos' HP had to be pretty low. So this is exactly how I knew that it was going to play out in my head. Well, actually, I thought it'd play out slightly differently. But yeah, if Seara gets a turn, she's just going to bomb Megan. So I think that one was pretty safe. During rush, I'm going to have to kind of do this same thing. Look at these defenses and ask myself, what percent chance is there that I win this, and what percent chance is there that I lose this? And this team, I'm going to have to avoid and just run for the hills, skip this, because it's way too tanky. My Lushens are not going to be able to kill this dude, and then the first Lushen's going to move, he's going to do baby damage, because that's just what he does right now. That's why I've chosen to rune them. And then the second one's going to move, and they're not going to be able to kill him. He's going to heal up, and then it's just going to be bad news from there on. This one right here, it looks like Trinity This one I would skip during rush because she has a faster leader, so it's just too much of a risk. This team right here I actually really like because it has tankiness to it. I find that that's a really good thing to have if you're running a speed team. If you're using some math, whatever his name is, Seara, I like that tankiness to it. The Rakan, I like that. So that team's good. I'm going to skip that one. That one too tanky for me to hit with my current offenses. That one, faster speed lead, so I'm going to skip that. This one I can hit, and I'm actually going to hit it with my 2 Lushens because it does have that some tanky monsters, like the Artemeel's kind of freaking me out. If it had a squishy monster instead of Artemeel, I would probably use a speed lead just to guarantee that I outsped. But for the most part, this is important, I outspeed everyone at this ranking. Everyone in High Conqueror 3 Low Guardian 1, like maybe one person out of like 200 outspeeds me. So I've just done so many battles, literally no one has outsped me. So I think that one is, whoa, only 4 points for that one? Jesus. So that one was pretty safe. Let's do some more wings here and check out. This one I'm going to skip during rush. Way too tanky with this HP lead since my Lushens don't do a lot of damage. But the thing is, my Lushens should do very well against Nemesis monsters. Squishy Nemesis teams without the HP leader, my Lushens are, I believe they're going to destroy. So hopefully we can find some of those here. This one I think is pretty safe because I should be able to wipe most of these things out. Actually, though, the Chiwu might stun my stuff and sleep it, which might kind of be bad. And then Theomars could proc and stuff. So this one might be a little bit risky for me to hit. I really want to find some other defenses like that I think I'm going to be facing this weekend with, you know, Prahas and stuff. But I feel like I'm too low ranked to actually find those, which kind of sucks. Okay, I just got to clean this up here. They're just going to fool around a little bit. We'll be done here shortly. Come on now. Sorry guys, this is probably boring. Just killing this Chiwu. Oh, Chiwu's coming up in the rotation when Orion's coming up in like 3 or 4 weeks. That would be super nice to get one of those. I actually would fight, maybe not. Hey, that's one of my old guild members, Silver Muse. No, I'm not gonna fight that one because of the speed lead. This one's kind of interesting. I would fight this one with my 2 Lushens as long as I know that Chiwu's not going to move before me, because even if this bitch moves, I can just cleave through her shield, I feel, but let's just be on the safe side and skip that one. So this team right here, I would actually skip during rush because teams, I already talked about this, really tanky teams with HP leaders that are meant to stall out. I'll show you guys an example though. So during rush, I would skip this one just to be safe. This is like my new strategy of being safe. But for demonstration purposes, we're going to continue to see if my Lushens will outspeed Nemesis monsters, and if the first one does the proper amount of damage. So we see we're boosting her up, but she didn't move in between. That's what I've been seeing all week, so I have a kind of good feeling. We'll have to see how it goes during rush, though. But I have a good feeling that we'll be fine during rush. But I think I need to test it, because last weekend I think my Lushens were slightly different than this. I don't remember how they were last week. If it was just me messing up or whatever. So yeah. Okay, so that was the main example that I wanted to show you guys. We'll have to see though with those Nemesis monsters this weekend. Okay, let's continue on with the list here. Next on the list, I maxed my Arcane Booster Tower to level 10, so at the moment, both of my towers for my laser are maxed. The Crystal Rock is maxed, and my Arcane Booster Tower maxed. Next, for Glory Shop stuff, I just did that because, like I said, my current goal is to get Guardian 1 a few more times and then decide what I'm doing, and I feel like these will really help, especially because my defense is like a stall defense. It is a stall defense. Okay, so next, I don't know if it's really stall because it does have some kill potential with the mummies. Whatever. Next, I'm going to max out the Wind Sanctuary for my Lushens. I will have to continue to see if I want to keep changing my Lushens or keep them the same or whatever, but I'm doing that. I've always kind of found that having the second one hit super hard, like as hard as possible, with some other things, like I do have the will set on him. I've always found that that works out well, so the Wind Sanctuary is going to help for that. But the first one I gotta watch out for to make sure he doesn't start doing more damage, you know, and start triggering Nemesis monsters. After the Wind Sanctuary is fully maxed, I'm gonna do Fire and Water. I might do them equally. And then after that, most likely the Light and Dark Sanctuary. I thought about doing like a hybrid sort of thing where I would buy like some scrolls and also buy the Light and Dark Sanctuary while I'm doing that, but I think just to simplify things, I will probably just do the Light and Dark Sanctuary first, because if you look at these scrolls, they're actually pretty expensive. Like, I don't think I'm getting that much glory per week. What, 900, 1140 glory points? I don't think I'm getting that much a week at all, so I'm not sure. I'll keep thinking about it, but I still have some things to work on. Again, I'm worried that since I keep doing like 3 to 4 refills every rush hour, that I'm maxing my buildings too quickly. So in the future, you know, after I get Guardian 1 a few more times, or if I don't get Guardian 1 a few more times and I'm close to maxing these, I might have to reevaluate what I'm doing in Arena. Do I want to keep rushing? What do I do? So that's the Glory Shop stuff. I think we have to check the Magic Shop. Maybe we will have another scroll to summon. Oh, no, we have some monsters to buy, though. I hope this doesn't fill up my inventory because I did make enough space before this episode so I could summon. Okay, next on the list we had a Hall of Heroes for the Water Joker. I kept one of them because I always keep one of every Nat 4. After I foddered Orion, I think it's a really good practice. Storage space is cheap. Where is the Water Joker? Right here. That's my one. And then my other Lushen only needed 3 more skill ups. So right now, they're both fully skilled. So I'm happy about that. I have used Devilmon on them, as you guys know. And I've been okay with doing that. Some of you guys might be like, why didn't you fuse more skill ups and just wait? Well, that's because I have been hearing that having a third Lushen is a very good thing to do. Whether you want to use triple Lushen, you know, Megan triple Lushen for your arena offense, or if you want to use a Lushen variant team. One of the strong ones I've been hearing about that Chuffles actually uses is Speed Leader. I'll show you. I think I have the team out here right now. So it's going to be like this, except for Kona Mia instead of Megan. So you're going to use Speed Leader, Bernard, Lushen, Kona, and your Lushen's going to be very slow, but he's going to hit very hard. And that team has uses. You can also use like Tion, I think. There's some teams out there with Lushen variants. So I do believe that I will have a third Lushen at some point whenever I get another one, and I will need to probably skill that one up, at least his amputation magic. So I know that, you know, even if I get more Jokers in the future, I will have more opportunities to fuse them, you know, fuse more JoJos for that third one or whatever. So I feel like it's okay to use Devilmon on the first 2 for that reasoning. Okay, next on the list, let's see, I think I got a new Giant Speed 10 time, not exactly sure, but I think it was new, unless I tied it. It was either new or I tied it. So 39 seconds for Giant Speed 10, my new time, and since I've been changing up my Lushens, sometimes the first one won't clear the entire wave, you guys will see. I used to have them hitting really hard, but right now they don't, so I don't think they'll be able to get any record-breaking times with how they are right now, but my Giants times are generally how they've always been, you know, around a minute long, so I'm totally okay with that. I feel like that's fast enough. But I just wanted to mention that I think I got a new time, so that it's just like a fun thing to mention, so that was cool. After this run, I will show you guys my YOLO DB10 team and talk about it a little bit. I did improve it slightly from when I did my video, so I did do a video. I'll actually talk about that when we get to the dragon screen, because some people might be like skipping through the video or whatever. Okay, I had to like close my mirroring software and then restart it. So there we go, 39-second time, as you guys can see. So that was awesome. So let's talk about my Dragons B10 team right now. I did do a video on it on my channel where I kind of like explained why I think it's so good. I also wrote up a little Reddit comment. I would check my Reddit comment out if you guys are interested in knowing about this team, because I was very detailed and clear and brief in that comment. As I told you guys earlier on free rune removal, I tried out so many different teams for this. They weren't very different, but I did try out Verd, Galleon, Tark, and then Hua, Chilling, stuff like that. So I got to get some experience with those. They failed a lot. With all of those fails though, I was able to identify why this team works out better than those did. And there's like a few reasons to it. Double defense break. Sometimes Galleon will legit miss his defense break. I don't know how that's possible because my Galleon has 95% or something like that accuracy. Theo can pick up and land it, which definitely helps. I had a run earlier today where that happened when I was like recording another edit or take of this video, and now I'm re-recording. I also have double attack buff. Sometimes when I just used a single attack buffer, Galleon, he wouldn't put it up. I do have his time to loot fully maxed. Sometimes he wouldn't. You need to do damage very quickly to that dragon when you get to him before the right crystal gets immunity up. So if I don't have attack break on my team generally didn't do enough, so I have Megan for that. If the dragon gets immunity, Megan can take it off, and then I can finish runs out. Megan's defense buff also helps out on the first couple waves to make it really safe. There are some other small things to it. I have proper speed tuning, so check out my little Reddit comment. I will link it down below, or you can watch the video of that. So that was my YOLO DB10 team. Super awesome that I finally have it working. I don't know if I said this earlier, but I think I should have been able to do YOLO DB10 earlier based on my rune quality. I've just been like kind of lazy and haven't really thought about making a team work or testing it or whatever, and I haven't been that organized, as you guys know, with free rune removal. So either way, whatever. We have it now, so I'm happy that that works. Next, let's talk about how TOA and TOA hard went. I will have everything on the screen for you guys, all of my failures for each floor. For TOA normal, I used a pretty YOLO team all the way to 100. There were only 2 floors, I think, where I had to substitute a safer team in. Actually, I don't remember what happened on 90, but on 100 I definitely had to change my monsters. I think I used like a YOLO team all the way though, so I'm pretty sure that's what happened, unless I was lazy and didn't write it down. But either way, TOA went very smoothly. TOA hard also went pretty much how it's been going for the past couple months. For the most part, very smooth. Just a few fails here or there, but for the most part, really smooth. So that was cool. I like to clear it as soon as possible just to get it out of the way, but it might be more efficient to wait around till TOA free weekend or whatever it is for me to do like TOA normal or something like that. But I just do them as fast as possible generally. Okay, next on the list, we had a mummy secret dungeon, so I was able to fully skill up my fire mummy. One of them was already skilled up, and the second one wasn't. I believe it only needed 6 more skill ups, so I farmed 6 of those, and then I farmed another one just to have it there. Actually, I farmed 2 more because I accidentally did an extra run, so I'm like, I'll just farm 2 more. I'll show you guys. I just have it here just in case I want to use it or something. I don't know. I'm just super paranoid because I don't have any Rinas and I didn't have a fire mummy when I desperately wanted one. So I just did that. I think I'm just paranoid. I think this guy is garbage, but whatever. Also, shoutouts. I had some people message me and they were like, hey, Orange, you're probably really excited for the mummy dungeon. So thank you to everyone who remembered my love for these mummies. I actually wasn't super excited though because one of my mummies was only lacking like 6 skill ups. Even 6 skill ups though, that would probably take a while to get. Unless I got lucky and the mummies showed up in the rotations that I was summoning for. I don't know how rare that is because I will be summoning again for Orion. So if mummies showed up for Orion rotations, maybe it would have worked out. But yeah, it was nice though. So that was cool. Next on the list, I put a Devilmon on Julie to fully max out her freezing shot. Everything else is maxed on her, and that was because that happened, I think because I planned on using her for last week's rush, but then decided not to. I actually lost one offense a couple weeks ago because her freezing shot was not maxed and it was on cooldown when I needed it, and then I had to use like her first skill and I think it didn't do enough damage to kill something, and then that thing healed up, but if I did have that freezing shot I would have won. So I think I did that because I planned on using her or something, I forgot what it was, but yeah, that's what I did for her. Next on my list, I wrote down that I built speed Lushens. So we already talked about that, how my Lushens are faster. I think they actually only gained about like 10 speed each or something, maybe like a little bit less than 10, because I think they were both plus 88 before I sped them up. And so that's when I decided to make them speed Lushens. The main thing with them though was nerfing the first one's damage, this one. So yeah, we'll have to see how that goes this weekend. Next, I 6-starred my Miyang because I talked about this sometime before. There's a really good Reddit post called Step-by-Step Guide to Building Your First R5 Team. I don't even think it applies to your first team. I think it applies to like every R5 team that you build. It's a really great post, and I've been hearing that Miyang is like the best healer for R5, so I 6-starred her because I planned on fixing my R5 team, and my plan for her was to rune her not on violent. That way I could make her very good with non-violent runes, because I already have so many violent monsters. If I put her on violent, that'd be kind of hard. My violent runes would be getting spread thin, so I runed her up on some other stuff. We have speed, attack, HP. I still need to max some of these runes, but right now my mana is so low I can't do that. So I am going to show you guys my R5 teams a little bit later, but I just wanted to mention that I 6-starred her, mainly because she's S tier for R5 and she's really easy to rune if you don't put her on violent, because she's so unique. She wants attack and HP, you know, she wants basically attack and enough survivability to survive, and then speed so she can heal a lot and stuff like that. Okay, next on my list, I mentioned Rush, but I already talked about that. Last weekend's Rush, for the first 30 minutes, I tested out Purian. That didn't work out. It was actually this finish right here. Tested out Purian, that didn't work out, and then I put the runes back on Bernard. I actually went 17 and 7, which is like a terrible win rate, so I'm hoping that that will be fixed this weekend, and I hope that I'm understanding how to use my Lushens a little bit better. Okay, next, after that, Com2uS announced the next summoning rotation, or they didn't announce it, I think it just comes out on other servers, and other servers can show people on global. So this is the rotation. This is so sick. I'm really pumped for this. We have this chick for Shaolin skill ups. Fuko, I've heard that he's one of the best liches for Necro. I also have one Rigel from a previous Hall of Heroes that I've been thinking about building for Necro. Hua for, I don't know, Ran skill ups or something, I don't know. This dude, I couldn't really use him. Orion, of course, is the main guy that I'm going for. Nat 3s, I don't think I can really use anything. I think the only thing I can use is Rina skill ups. Nat 5s, though, those are super, super good Nat 5s. So I'm hoping that, you know, it's just my time. I'm really overdue for a Nat 5. The last time I got a Nat 5 was like 7.5 months ago. It's been crazy. Aside from Ganymede, I'm not counting him. He doesn't really count because he was like a free Nat 5. So yeah, but I don't have that many summons, as you guys can see, just 9 right now. That kind of sucks, but hopefully I at least get something, right? There's like so much there, you know, at least if I get one of those Nat 4s, if I get, yeah, like the Pirate Captain and the Rakshasa I can't really use, but the other things I can use. So I just wanted to show you guys that rotation. I'm drooling over that. Next on the list, let's talk about guild shop buildings. So, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to buy. I'm still buying summoning stones to get Orion, of course, because I've only gotten one ever, and I've been playing for like a year and 3 months or something like that. So yeah, summoning stones just give the highest odds for him, and I think he's a really important one to get. So I've kind of been hoarding points for the past week or something. I actually spent them though, because I wasn't sure what to buy. I've talked about this before. Previously, I thought that I was going to evenly upgrade all of these, but if you actually think about it, if you think about glory shop buildings, guild shop buildings, generally people suggest to buy the ones that are like multi-purpose because they're more worth it. So crit damage building, for example, attackers can use this, Theomars, Sig, I don't know why you'd be using Sig for Guild Wars, but just like regular attackers, right? Also, Bulldozer and Copper can use it, monsters who scale off of defense. So that building's going to be more worth it than the Flag of Battle, just because it applies to more monsters. Ratesh, for example, could use some crit damage too. So I'm buying that one, and after I do that one, I'm not sure if I'm going to do the whole thing, or if I'm going to do HP as well. I also think HP is probably a little bit stronger than defense, because more things can utilize it, like all of your regular monsters. Like, okay, that was a bad way of explaining it. Your attackers can use HP. They can use defense as well, but I think your attackers are going to use HP better. Like, they want HP more, and it's going to help them more. Also, just all of your supports can use HP. So I think HP is probably the way to go over defense. So I might, like, do these two, the crit damage and HP first, evenly, and then I might look at doing these two. So those are just some thoughts. I might hoard points again. I might go on Reddit and like do a little bit of searching around to see. I actually tried. I looked up guild shop flags, or I don't know if I looked up flags. I think I looked up buildings, so I'll have to look up guild shop flags and see if anyone else has any opinions on it. Feel free to leave me your guys' opinions as well if you have any insight to these flags. So I did buy the next Flag of Rage. So that is level 5. Okay. Next, on my list, I talked about how I re-runed everything again, so I already talked about that multiple times in this episode. I did free rune removal, then I re-runed again, and then again a few days ago. Okay, here's a really fun part. We have 2 more things to go over. Our 5 teams. I hope I can find a party, and I hope the party doesn't fail. I want to show you guys both of my R5 teams. Let's see. Okay, so one guy has 2 damage dealers, but the other one does not. Oh wait, we don't even have a resist lead, so can't do that. Okay, I have 2 teams. One is a safer team, and the other is a YOLO-ish team. Oh wait, okay, let's see. Okay, I'm gonna go for the safe team, actually. Okay, we're having a little bit of whatever you call it, chicken, I don't know. You know, like when when you're walking down a hallway and then like you go this way, this person, whatever. Yeah, so I was debating whether I wanted to go for my safe team or my YOLO team. I will go for my team with 2 damage dealers if the other 2 players have 2 damage dealers, if we're going kind of fast. But if the other people have like safe teams, I think it's better to go for my safe team. So basically, I have, right now I'm using the Fire Panda instead of my Shaolin. I'm not really sure if it's better to use Shaolin or Hua if you're only using 1 damage dealer, but a few days ago when I re-runed everything, I focused on my R5 monsters too, so that was really awesome. Mainly I had to re-rune Hua and Shaolin, because I had Hua ruined for like Necro and stuff. I'm liking how this is all working out. I haven't quite gotten to raid with my guild members yet who have 2 damage dealers. I did raid with some of them yesterday, but I think the people that I raided with were only using 1 damage dealer. I raided with like a couple of people, so I'll have to do more testing. My YOLO team does wipe after the 3rd jump sometimes, and usually the other members can kind of pick up for it, so it's not like a huge concern of mine, but it is something that I should probably look at fixing. I don't know, like, it's hard for me to really tell. I went on Reddit and I looked up the stat benchmarks. If you go to Reddit and look up R5 frontline or R5 backline, there's people out there giving you general guidelines to how much HP and defense your monsters should have, because HP and defense are really the two main things that are going to determine if you survive or not. You need speed as well, so you're cleansing and stuff. Uh-oh, Hwa's about to die, but I think we'll be okay as long as we start healing. We need to get that unrecoverable debuff on the boss. Mi Yang, I talked about this, I think. I'm not sure if I'm going to skill her up or not. I think I do want to keep her on a non-violent build, just because if she's on violent, I feel like she's hogging runes up. I feel like it's just the better decision to, keep things spread out. Let's put her on a rune set that she's okay on instead of violent. I feel like the team's working out really well, though, so I'm really happy about that I was able to fix my Dragons B10 team and my raid team, so that's cool. Yeah, so we'll just watch this run. I don't think I'll be able to show you guys a YOLO run, but yeah, so let me show you some of my monster stats right now. We'll just go through them so you can see how much HP and defense they have. So I do think they're lacking a little bit. Like, I think they're supposed to have 1,000 defense and 18,000 extra HP or something like that. I don't quite know. Oh, Hwa's dead. Yeah, I think she's a bit squishy, but actually, maybe not. I think she's bordering what the recommendations are. But again, like, I think it depends on your team members and if they can, like, carry you or not. Sort of. Like, you know how people do R5 carries? Sometimes you don't need your stuff to be doing that well. I don't know. I feel like my stuff's fine. So, this run will be over soon. Poor Hwa, she's dead, so I'm not doing damage anymore. And one more thing on the list, a really fun thing, and then we will do the summons. Let's see what we get from R5. I feel like whenever I get enough gems and grindstones from R5, I generally get like 25 gems or gems/grindstones, and then I put them on my runes. I've been finding that I don't have enough runes for all of them. I've been getting like a lot of Nemesis and Destroy ones, and I just don't have runes. Oh, hell yeah, we got a Legendary Blade Defense gem. That's really good. Okay, so not a gem, a grindstone. Okay, so one more thing, we have new monsters. They are unicorns. I'm actually kind of excited about that. At first, I'm like, new monsters, no, this is stressful, I already have enough to think about, but I think it's okay, and then unicorns, I think that'll be pretty fun and silly and badass at the same time. So, unicorns. I will link you guys the Reddit post talking about them down below. I'm actually going to do my summons now. I thought about saving them to try to get the unicorns, but I looked at their skills and I'm not really sure how good they are. Sometimes monsters, I don't know, like I'm not an expert at reading skills and being able to tell how good a monster is, but I think I'll be okay if I do my summons now. So yeah, I think the unicorns should be coming out really soon though, like next week or something. So let's just do them. Let's start with the mysticals as always. Here we go. Whew, my heart, guys. My heart rate is starting to elevate because we have some big scrolls to pop. Okay, first lightning, third one in. Vampire, I can't use that. Okay, so whatever food, I guess. Actually, that one was listed as one of the good R5 monsters on the post by JX9, step-by-step guide as to how to choose your R5 monsters. So I could probably use like Rina skill-ups, I think. And I'm still saving like Harg stuff and whatnot. Okay, here we go, second lightning. Wrong color, close but no cigar. Wrong color. That was close though. Okay, oh, nice arena skill up. Very sweet. Oh, another arena skill up right there, so we've gotten 2. Okay, so we got 2 lightnings out of 27 scrolls. That's pretty much expected. I think one more might be like kind of average. Okay, so that was it for those. Let's go ahead and do these elemental scrolls. I guess I will do the water one last for Orion. It might be him, but the odds are like 1 in 32, so probably not if there is a lightning. So fire, we got nothing, and then water, here we go, no lightning, unfortunately. So that was that. Now, we do the 2 scrolls of light and darkness. First one, no lightning, what is it gonna be? Another Varus, okay? I can't use that, but I'll probably keep it in case I ever wanted to build 2. I don't think so. Okay, next one, no lightning, unfortunately. I already have that one. The light one, Iona, might be usable for me for certain things, but I already have that dark one. Okay, guys, 3 legendary scrolls. Here comes the first one. Okay, 3 water jokers, guys, and then we're done. 3 water jokers and we're done. Another Rigel. That might not be bad, actually. Maybe I could use double Rigel for Necro. I don't know. Oh, my heart. I'm expecting something, but I know it's going to be nothing. Let's get a water joker. Let's get a water... Okay, that's pretty much the same thing as a water joker. What's that dude's name? Fedora. Milady. Okay, last one. Here's our water joker, guys. And then we'll be done with the summoning session. Pretty much the same thing as a water joker. I'm a little bit disappointed inside, but not. I numbed myself enough to be okay with this pull. So we got a windy, so nothing from all of this. I continue to get plagued with the worst luck in Summoner's War ever. No Nat 5 for 7.5 months. Soon to be 8. So, hope you guys enjoyed the episode because the summons were shit, but I felt like the episode was pretty good. Lots of new stuff happening, and I'm learning. So, hope you guys enjoyed. I hope to catch you in another Guardian 1 Rush Hour video. We will have to see if that happens. I will catch you guys later.